Okay. So where's both my derivative and my second derivative negative? Okay, so guys, even before we started all this f prime stuff, okay, if I told you, hey, look at this picture, where's the derivative negative? You could have told me, right? Where's the derivative negative? Tell me, which points are the derivative negative at? B and C. Why? Because if you put your hand there, okay, your slope is negative, all right? So right away, you're assuming that this is F, and that's what you should do, okay? If they don't tell you if it's F or F prime or F double prime, then you assume that it's F. The derivative is negative at B. Now here's what we added on. Where is the second derivative also negative? Where's the second derivative negative? Okay, well, when the second derivative is negative, okay, well, you know when the second derivative is positive, F prime is increasing and F is concave up. And when the second derivative is negative, F prime is decreasing and F is concave down. Okay, remember, if they're in the same row, they are synonyms with each other. They're synonymous. So when I say I want the second derivative to be negative, it's the same thing as what on the F? Concave down. So I am concave down at A and B. Do you agree with that? But the question is, where am I both first derivative is negative and second derivative is negative? Your answer would be B. You guys good with that? Okay. Let me do a little chart here and see if you guys can do this, because your test has something like this. You had a homework assignment that had something like this. And let's see if we could do a little F prime, F double prime chart. Okay. If I said find whether F double prime, F prime, F double prime were positive, negative, or zero for some point. So let me just pick a point. Let's just pick A, random. Okay. Guys, can you guys tell me, fill this out, positive or negative or zero right here? Positive. Where are you getting that positive? How do you know A is positive? It's above the x-axis. You guys good with that? F is positive when you're above the x-axis. Okay, what about F prime here? Positive. Where are you getting that? The slope is positive. Very good. Okay, what about F double prime? Negative. Where are you getting that? Concave down. Very beautiful. Okay, let me give you a little bit tougher of a problem. What if I asked you to do the same thing for D? Okay. Would F be positive or negative for D? Positive. What about F prime? Zero. Where are you getting that zero from? Very good. It's a horizontal tangent line, slope of zero. Superhero, right? Relative max, relative min. This is a relative min. Okay. Horizontal tangent line. All right. What about F double prime at D? Positive, negative, or zero? Positive. Okay, very good. This is asking you concave up or concave down, right? And at D, are you concave up or concave down? Are you on a concave up portion or are you on a concave down portion? Concave up. So all these points, okay, would have an F double prime of positive. Does that make sense to you guys? All of these points would have an F double prime of negative, okay? And students have lots of trouble with this, okay? So if this is easy for you, great, okay? But sometimes I think on a test you kind of freeze up and start getting things confused. All right, on your notes, I want you to be able to write these things from the top of your head, guys, okay? I know some of you guys are pulling it from other parts of your body. I actually don't care what parts of your body you're pulling this from. I just want you to be able to write this down without any sort of prompting, okay? If you're ever asked increasing, decreasing, relative max, relative min, okay, you always use F prime positive, F is increasing. F prime negative, F is decreasing. If you ever move from the top row to the bottom row, you have a relative max on F. If you ever move from the bottom row to the top row, you have a relative min on F. Okay, so from now on, if I come to your desk, okay, and you have a question, and you don't have this written down, I'm not going to help you until you write it down, okay? Because you need to be able to write this just from scratch with no prompting, all right? Keywords, concave up, concave down, POI. Anytime you see that, this is what you're going to use. When F double prime is positive, F prime is increasing, and F is concave up. These are all synonyms, which means anytime F double prime is positive, F is concave up. Anytime F is concave up, F double prime is positive, okay? F double prime negative, F prime means it's decreasing and F is concave down. These are all synonyms on this row. Anytime you move from one row to the other, you have what's called a point of inflection, okay? But that's a point of inflection on my boy F, okay? Not on F prime or F double prime, all right? And then these are the justifications for each other. You never use these for your justifications, okay? But you can always use the F primes and F double primes for your justifications. All right. What else is in your notes? Okay, I actually need to be able to draw this. Students have a lot of trouble drawing this, okay? If I tell you to draw something that's concave up and decreasing, can you quickly just make a sketch real quick? What does something concave up and decreasing look like? Just make a little sketch real quick. Concave up and decreasing. Remember, concave up is like a cup, but only half of it is decreasing. Okay, you always go from left to right. This side is decreasing. And so this is my F picture. This side of F is increasing. Okay, so if I say to draw something concave up and decreasing, then you just need to draw this side only. So you should have something on your graph, on your paper that looks something like that. You need to be decreasing, okay, but you also need to be concave up. All right, if you come back up, then you're not decreasing anymore. So you cannot, move back up. This is not right. Okay, you can't head back up. Okay, you got to stay decreasing. All right, what about something concave up and increasing? Can you sketch that really quickly on your paper? What does something concave up and increasing look like? Do you guys see that would look like that, right? Concave up and increasing. Okay, how about concave down and decreasing? Can you sketch that quickly? Okay, Chris, can you go ahead and, are you with us on this? Okay, good, good. Concave down and decreasing. Concave down is like a frown, but unfortunately only half of it is decreasing. This side over here is increasing, and this side over here is decreasing, okay? So if I'm concave down and decreasing, I'm really only copying this side. So you should have something that looks like that, right? Okay, and then the opposite, concave down and increasing. What should your sketch look like? Very quickly, something that looks like that. Can you guys do that very quickly? Now, your test may not say it this simply, okay? Your test might say this, and you need to understand this. Your test might say, draw something where F double prime is less than 0 and F prime is greater than 0. Do you see that F double prime less than 0 is actually concave up? Does that make sense to you? Right? That's F concave up. No, it's not. It's F concave down, sorry. Okay? And then F prime less than 0, well, F prime less, that means, oops, why am I saying this? F prime positive, that means F is increasing. Okay? So they don't have to like spell it out for you. They don't have to say concave down and increase. They could say F double prime is negative or F double prime is less than 0. Actually, I think this is what they'll say on your test. And F prime is increasing, okay, then you still need to be able to draw that same picture. And actually for you, it'd be multiple choice. Pick the right picture, okay? All right, does that make sense for you guys? That they can actually say it in other ways. Like here, they could say F double prime negative or F double prime less than 0. For decreasing, they can just say that F prime is less than 0. And you have to understand, that's the same exact thing as what I have here on the board. You guys good with that? Okay, is there anything else I need to cover with you on your notes? That's it, right? Okay, let's look at homework questions, guys. I had one answer wrong last night. Number 4, I said it was B, but unfortunately it was really A. Okay, so number 4, I had that answer wrong that I posted. I can get the answer wrong because actually I'm grading my own test. You guys have to get the answer right. Okay, on your homework last night, what questions did you guys have? And I also should have pointed out on 1C, you did not have to justify your answer. Although I did justify it in my key, you don't have to justify why you have absolute max or min unless you have a candidate's test, okay? You don't have to justify that. Yes? Yes, we can draw it. Yes, okay. So let's draw the sketch. Guys, you will have to draw something, several things on your test. Of course, it is multiple choice, but it is pretty tricky. The BC group took the test, and yeah, not all of them got it right. So see if I can find the right picture here. This one. Okay, so let's draw this. Okay, guys, whenever I see a table, what I do first is I translate it into a number line, okay? So I'm gonna translate this into a number line, and my number line is gonna be F prime, and F prime, I'm gonna grab all where F prime is 0 or D and E. So it's D and E here, F prime is D and E here, and F prime is 0 here. So I put those numbers into my number line. Those are my critical points, okay? I also know I have boundaries on this problem. My domain here is -3, and my domain here is 3, okay? And I don't know if you really need to put those boundaries in, but I do like to put those boundaries in. It helps me to not go too far to the left or right. All right, what I know is F double prime is positive here. I know F double prime is negative between -1 and 1, and I know F double prime, did I say F prime? F prime. F prime is positive, F prime is negative, and F prime is negative, okay? Now, what does that tell me about my picture, my boy F? My boy F would be increasing, my boy F will be decreasing, and my boy F will continue to decrease, okay, right here, okay? So I already kind of have a picture. I mean, F looks something like this. I don't know where the concavity is, but I do know F looks like this, okay? Then what I do to be able to draw this picture correctly is I put another number line below the F prime number line, and I do an F double prime number line, okay? In my F double prime number line, I go find where F double prime is 0 or D and E, and those are my possible POIs. I've got one at -1, and I line it up with the F prime. You don't have to, but it helps a lot, okay? I'm gonna line this up. It just so happens these are the same. They're not always the same. The POIs are not always the same as the critical points, okay? But here it just so happens the possible POIs are the same as the critical points, okay? So remember, these though are possible POIs. These up here are called critical points, okay? On my possible POI, what I have is positive here, negative here on my F double prime number line. Oh, sorry, not negative. Positive here. Okay, I'm reading this positive. This is positive F double prime. And then F double prime is negative between 1 and 3. So let me just put my boundaries here. There's a boundary here at 3, and there's a boundary here at -3. Okay, now I can draw F prime, but I'm not really interested in F prime. I'm supposed to draw F, okay? So here I know F is concave up, F is still concave up, and F is concave down, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go find my POI, okay? So guys, if you look here, do you see my POI is actually at 1? Is everybody good? I have a POI at 1. Okay, why do I have a POI at 1 and not at -1? Why is there not a POI at -1? Because you don't change concavity. Yeah, and F double prime doesn't change signs, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add these concavities to this picture. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my picture and put a giant dot where that POI is, okay? Guys, that POI helps you a lot because what it tells you is when you draw your picture, so you don't get confused, that's where you change concavity. So let me draw my picture. This is gonna be concave up here. This is gonna be concave up. Hit the POI right there, okay? And then right here, I'm gonna change to concave down. So there's my picture. I've got a general thing of my picture. I don't know exactly what everything's looking like. At -1 here, I know that the first derivative is D and E. So that means no differentiability. So right here, that means I should have a sharp turn, vertical tangent, or discontinuity. Do you guys see here it says continuous right here? Okay, so that means it can't be a discontinuity because this function is continuous. So this must either be a sharp turn or it must be a vertical tangent. And the way I drew it, it's a sharp turn, okay? It's not a vertical tangent. All right, so I'm good with this picture. I need to find the absolute max and the absolute min. Well, here's what they tell me. I actually know this point, right? This point is -3, 4. So if this were, if I were on an X and Y axis, right? This here would be 4. Let me just draw X and Y axis, okay? This here would be 4 if this were the Y axis, okay? And then the X, I don't know where the 0 is yet, so let me hold on with the 0. F3 is equal to 1. So this point here, okay, this is gonna go all the way to 3. So this point here, this is gonna be 3, 1, okay? This point here is going to be 3, 4, okay? So if this, wait, that can't be 3, 4, negative 3, 4. This point here is negative 3, 4. This point here is 3, 1. Guys, if I'm trying to find the absolute max, okay, and this is always decreasing, okay, so let me make sure I draw this picture right because it's always decreasing. My picture should look like this. Does that make sense? It's always decreasing. And I know that this point is 3, 1, and this point is negative 3, 4, okay? Where's my absolute max? Where's the highest point on this picture? It must be here. Does that make sense? So that's why I know my absolute max is at x equals negative 1 for sure. Do I know what it is, though? I don't think I know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is, okay? But I do know that it happens at x equals negative 1, okay? Do they actually ask you what it is? I don't think they do, right? Yeah, they just ask you for the x coordinates because you don't know what it is. All right. Then, guys, remember we have this rule. If you have an absolute max, it must happen at either the endpoints or the relative max, right? And so you know you have a relative max here, and you know it's higher than your endpoint. So therefore, that is the absolute max. If you have an absolute min, where must it occur? At your relative mins or your endpoints, right? Well, where is my relative min on this picture? There is no relative min. Does that make sense? So the absolute min must occur at the endpoint. Does that make sense? There is not a place. Where is a relative min? It's where your f prime changes from negative to positive. Here I change from positive to negative. Then I'm negative, then I'm negative. F prime never changes back to positive. Okay? There's no relative min. So I just have 2 endpoints. And so what I do is I take the lowest value, and that's my absolute min. Okay, so my absolute min must be here. Absolute min is equal to 1 at x equals 3. Okay? And I'm not going to ask you to justify that. Okay? Just make sure that you can sketch it, and you can tell me where the min and the max are. All right? What other questions do you guys have? Number 5. Okay, number 5. Okay, you have to go back to kind of like what you did on your quiz. Okay, but the negative sign's a little bit tricky here, so I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with the algebra. They're asking for increasing, decreasing, right? Increasing, decreasing, relative max, relative min. That's a first derivative test. So you take the first derivative here, and you'll get negative 2x minus 12x minus 9, okay? And then what you do is you set the first derivative. Is that, oh, do you have a different problem? Oh, sorry, this is negative 3x squared? Okay, sorry about that. Negative 3x squared minus 12x minus 9, thank you. Let's try it again. Negative 3x squared minus 12x minus 9. Set this equal to 0 and set this equal to DNE. And what is my purpose here? To find my critical points, all right? There are going to be no critical points generated when you have a polynomial set equal to DNE. Over here, this is what I would do. I would pull out a 3 first. Just take it one step at a time, okay? When you pull out a 3, you end up with negative x squared minus 4x minus 3. Then I would pull out a negative 3. I would do it in 2 steps, okay? Then I would pull out a negative 1, basically, okay? When you pull out the negative 1, then all of your signs change, okay? And that's very helpful because now it's a lot easier to factor, okay? And what you get is something times something times something equals 0. What does that mean about one of these somethings? One of them 0. Either negative 3 is equal to 0, x plus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. Negative 3 is equal to 0. That's silly, okay? X is equal to negative 3, x is equal to negative 1. These are my critical points, okay? Those are all the possibilities where I have relative mins or relative maxes, okay? I'll put this onto an F prime number line. Find numbers in between, okay? So what's a good number to the left of negative 3? Maybe negative 4. You guys good with that? What about between negative 3 and negative 1? Negative 2. And then what's a good number bigger than negative 1? 0, okay with you guys? You're going to take this and you're going to put it into F prime. Now be careful. I've manipulated F prime, so I need to make sure I didn't change anything. I do think, though, this right here is still f prime. Okay, if I FOIL this out, I will get negative 3x squared minus 12x minus 9. So guys, you can use this or you can use this. They're the exact same things. This one's just a little bit easier to figure out negative and positives. If I plug in negative 4, I'll get negative 3 times negative 1 times negative 3. I think that's right. So then I'll get negative times negative times negative. So that's going to be negative. Okay. If I put in negative 2, I'll get negative 3 times positive 1 times negative 1. That's negative times positive times negative. That's going to be positive. Okay. And if I plug in 0, I'll get negative 3 times positive 3 times positive 1. That's negative times positive times positive. That's going to be negative. So what does that tell me? That tells me that I'm decreasing, increasing, decreasing. Okay. Don't look at these points. Don't look at your test points anymore. They're going to confuse you. Okay. Pull from the critical points and you can choose the right answer. Okay. I'll let you guys go from there.